and welcome to the third episode of Tina Talks Keto. Thanks to all of you who are posting positive comments for my videos. It warms my heart that I can help even one person along on their journey. My channel and these videos are about my journey on a ketogenic way of eating. My name is Tina Barkin, and for the past 23 months, I've been eating some form of a low-carb diet. Actually, that's not right. I just realized my dyslexia has set in. It should be 25 months, and even very close to 26 months. I started mid-August 2020. I'm down about 60 pounds from when I started. As we go together with my journey, I'll talk about what I started with, what I'm doing now, and what worked and what didn't. In my previous episode, I talked about my first 3 weeks, my mini vacation, details about what I ate, and how I managed to lose some weight even with my several-day vacation. In this episode, I'm going to talk about weeks 4 through 6. These weeks were exclusively traveling on my motorcycle with my hubby. I'll talk about what I ate and how I navigated gas station food and restaurants for every meal. Right up front, it's important to say that what you hear from me is my opinion. It's what worked or didn't work for me and me alone. The things I talk about in this video and any past or future videos are not any kind of medical advice. I'm not a doctor or a nurse or an EMT or anything related to the medical field. So, before you make any changes, please see your physician. A little bit about traveling on a motorcycle. There's very little storage space, and what there is used for clothing, not snacks. Mostly clothing to deal with a huge range of weather conditions. Very hot to very cold, very wet to dry, and everything in between. Many motorcyclists follow a recommendation called ATGAT. All the gear, all the time. This is how my hubby and I dress. It includes Kevlar material and body armor, and of course a very protective helmet. Putting all this on every day and taking a lot of it off at every stop is a chore. It's heavy and bulky. I bought my gear a few years ago, and with my excess COVID weight, it didn't fit very well. When waterproof pants cost upwards of $500, and a jacket with highly rated armor costs upwards of $800, it's not budget-friendly to buy new gear, especially when it needs to be bigger. Who wants to do that? So everything was on the tight side, and I felt like the Pillsbury Doughboy. Setting the stage here, remember that at this time in my journey, I'm following Dr. Atkins. And fast forward to a few months later, also Dr. Westman's food list. And I'm not worrying about when I eat or whether I snack. I was eating when I was hungry, and the restriction of no snacking was not a thing yet. So how do you follow your way of eating while traveling? Especially since on a motorcycle, bringing food was not an option. When I'm driving in a car, I bring a cooler and a Keurig coffee maker. It's a big SUV, and coffee is my thing. Fortunately, gas stations are our friends. There's tons of keto snacks at gas stations. You can find hard-boiled eggs, cheese sticks, combo meat and cheese sticks, salads, including the lettuce, cucumber, and tomato kind. Get beef jerky, salami, pepperoni, chicken salad, egg salad, seafood salad, tuna salad. Every truckers-style gas station has aisles and aisles of these foods. For those of us in the US, the best nationwide ones are Love's, which is my favorite because they have the best restrooms, TA, Flying J, and Pilot. There's at least one of these at almost every exit on our interstate highways. Many of these also have cook-to-order counters available for burgers with all kinds of toppings and occasionally grilled chicken. You can even get Caesar salad with steak, or chicken or shrimp, which is often available. So finding food while going from point A to point B is easy. Once checked in at a hotel, finding dinner can be a bit more challenging, and this applies to whatever method you use to arrive there. What my hubby and I typically do is Google the restaurants near the hotel, and, when we are on our motorcycles, we often do that before picking our hotel. Once we take off all of our gear, the last thing we want to do is put it all back on to go a mile or two to get food. Statistically, most accidents happen within a few miles from home, so not gearing up is not an option. When I'm looking for a restaurant, what am I looking for? Well, ideally steak or burgers. I stay away from Chinese almost all the time, and also Italian and Mexican. Chinese restaurants typically add cornstarch or some other filler to their sauces and soups. Often the food is already prepared, so it's not possible to ask to skip the sauce. At Italian restaurants, it's very hard to find plain meats. Chicken marsala, chicken francese, rollatini all have some kind of coating on the chicken. Most of the time, though, a sausage dish will work. Remember that sausages are your friend, and whenever you end up in an Italian restaurant, check the sausage dishes first, like sausage and peppers. Mexican restaurants will typically have a meat plate. Just skip the rice and beans. The guacamole and sour cream are all good. So Google the restaurants near you and pick the one that has the most keto options. But also check for any trigger foods on the menu. If there's a dish that you just can't stay away from, including a dessert, maybe pick a different restaurant. You'll be tired when you get there, and if something is calling your name, it will be harder to avoid it. Once you've picked your restaurant, now you have to eat at it. That's not so easy. Hopefully, you're eating with your hubby, best friend, or someone who knows you well, and they will be kind and agree to things like no bread and no sugary cocktails. If they have to have bread, ask them to take what they want, and then ask the waiter to take the bread basket away. Place your order and remember that you can talk to your server and be very specific about what you want. Mention food allergies or intolerances. Say, I'm on a medically necessary elimination diet and can only eat these few things. Ask if they can just grill or broil your food. If it typically comes with a sauce, ask for butter. Good chefs want to keep your food moist and will be uncomfortable removing sauces, but will be very happy to add butter. With salads, ask for dressing on the side, and use the old Weight Watchers technique of dipping your fork into the salad dressing instead of pouring it on your salad. You don't need anywhere near as much as you think you do, and this keeps any extra sugars or seed oils, and there'll be more on that in another video, to a minimum. Hopefully, you'll be with someone who won't want dessert. Ideally, everyone at the table says no thank you, and you leave. Also, remember that you already looked at the menu before you walked in, and there isn't a gotcha dessert on the menu. But if dessert is getting ordered, that's the time to say excuse me and go to the restroom. Just bypass the dessert ordering process entirely. Now, of course, you are stuck watching others eat dessert, but you've already done really well, so be proud of that. Bask in your success, and maybe drink some tea or coffee so you have something to put up to your mouth. Next is breakfast. Most likely you'll be at a hotel that has breakfast available, often for free. There should be some scrambled eggs and some type of breakfast meat. Sometimes scrambled eggs will have a filler, but I personally would not worry about that. If it does bother you that much, then look for hard-boiled eggs. And don't expect a gourmet meal. It will be edible and not much else. If all they have are breakfast sandwiches, you can take more than one and just eat the eggs and the meat inside the sandwich. If you are a coffee or tea drinker, be careful with the creamer. Some have a lot of added sugar, so read the label. You can ask one of the breakfast attendants if they have any alternatives like milk. Milk has carbs, but is not as bad as the added sugar in the creamer. Remember to give yourself some grace, especially when you are away from home. Strive for doing your best, but not perfection. If you set yourself up for perfection, when you miss, you are more likely to have a bigger fall. If the grilled chicken shows up in a sauce or coated with flour, scrape off what you can and eat the chicken. Honestly, it will be okay. Go for consistency. Being consistent is a great approach. Now that I've talked about how to do it right, how did I actually do? Remember that switch I talked about in the last video? The one that turns on determination to do it and not stray from the goal? Well, that was still turned on. I watched my hubby eat those cinnamon buns at Holiday Inn Express every single day. Fortunately, he did not order any desserts. We had a couple of nights where restaurants that we had picked were closed. This trip was during COVID. So I did get some food that required scraping off the flour. One night, the only thing around were Italian heroes. By the way, these sandwiches are also called subs, or hoagies, blimpies, and grinders, depending on where you live. I picked a meatball parm, removed the bread, and ate the meatballs and cheese, realizing that the meatballs were going to have some carbs in them. This is what I mean when I say give yourself some grace. You are not cheating. You are making the best decision with what is available to you. All in all, I really did okay. What helped, though, was that I started to feel a bit better. My motorcycle clothes started to fit just a bit better. I didn't have to suck in my stomach quite as much buttoning up my pants or zipping up my jacket. The biggest thing, though, was that I had more energy and wasn't as exhausted at the end of the day. Feeling better really does help make better choices. And when I got home, the scale said I was down 4 pounds. Big win. In my last video, I said I'd tell you when I'll have more videos posted. My plan is to post a new one every Tuesday. Well, today is Wednesday, so I've already missed my plan. But my excuse is that I was still driving home from Keto Palooza yesterday. So here's to an on-time posting next week. Thanks so very, very much for listening, and have a great day.